Hey man, she won't tell you outright, and she won't make it obvious, but the signs are there if you pay attention. When a woman is already attached yet too scared to show it, she lives in this silent push and pull inside her own mind. On the surface, she may play it cool, act distant, or even pretend she's not that invested, but behind that mask, her emotions are running wild. She studies your behavior more than she admits. She tracks the little details of your conversations, and she remembers things you don't even realize you said. That's the first sign, her attention. When she's attached, she doesn't just hear you, she absorbs you. Her fear of exposing herself makes her cautious, so instead of grand gestures, you'll notice subtle patterns. She may accidentally linger a little longer in your presence, her body unconsciously leaning toward you in conversation. She'll find reasons to initiate contact, even if it's wrapped in casual excuses like sharing a meme, asking a simple question, or commenting on something trivial. But beneath that light-hearted exterior is a deeper motive. She craves a connection with you, but doesn't want to risk you pulling away if she shows too much too soon. This tension between desire and fear creates a pattern of micro-moments that reveal her attachment without words. Another sign is how protective she becomes of her emotions around you. She may try to hide jealousy when you mention other women, but her reactions will betray her. The pause in her voice, the shift in her tone, or the sudden change in her energy gives her away. She might try to brush it off with a laugh or a sarcastic comment, but those tiny flashes of insecurity come from a place of already being invested. A woman who's unattached doesn't care if you're giving your attention elsewhere, but when she's quietly attached, even the thought of losing you stirs emotions she can't control. Pay attention to how she mirrors you. When she's attached but afraid of showing it, she subconsciously adapts to your rhythms. If you're busy, she'll hold back her own neediness to avoid scaring you off. If you seem distant, she might mirror that distance but still find ways to stay within your orbit. It's not manipulation, it's self-protection. She's waiting to see if you'll make the first move in showing commitment, because her fear of rejection outweighs her longing to confess her true feelings. This mirroring isn't just mimicry, it's her way of keeping harmony, of staying aligned with you without tipping her hand. And perhaps the biggest sign of all is the emotional weight she silently attaches to small interactions. That casual text you sent in the middle of the day, she rereads it more times than she'll admit. The short conversation you had before parting ways, she replays it later, dissecting your tone, your expressions, your choice of words. To her, these small exchanges carry the gravity of confirmation or rejection. This is how you know she's already attached, because she's invested in details that most people overlook. She's living in a heightened state of awareness, where every interaction matters, because you matter more than she's willing to reveal. You'll also notice that when she's already attached but too scared to admit it, she begins to test you in ways that seem confusing on the surface. She may act colder one day, almost dismissive, then warm and engaging the next. It's not because she's playing games though, it may feel like it. It's because she's constantly fighting with herself. One side of her wants to show you just how much she feels, while the other side fears that if she gives too much, she'll lose her leverage, her dignity, or worst of all, your interest. These push and pull behaviors are defense mechanisms. They're the signs of a woman who has already given her heart, but is terrified you won't handle it with care. Her body language gives her away, long before her words ever do. A woman who's attached will make eye contact just a little too long, then glance away as if she got caught. She'll brush against you, lightly touch your arm in conversation, or lean closer when she doesn't need to. And yet if you call her out on it, she'll act like it meant nothing. That contradiction is the giveaway. Women who aren't invested don't think twice about how they position themselves around you. But a woman who's secretly attached is hyper-aware of every movement, every glance, every accidental touch, and she tries to cover it up because she doesn't want her vulnerability exposed. Pay attention to her curiosity. It's sharper than she wants you to notice. She asks about your day, but more importantly, she asks about your future. She wants to know your plans, your goals, your direction in life. Not because she's nosy, but because she's measuring whether her world can align with yours. She may cloak these questions in casual conversation, but underneath, she's evaluating compatibility. That's how you know she's invested. She's looking beyond the surface. A woman who isn't attached won't care where you'll be in 5 years. But a woman who secretly is, she cares deeply, even if she never admits why. Another subtle sign is how she reacts when you give her space. If she's truly unattached, your absence doesn't faze her. She might even forget about you for stretches of time. But if she's already emotionally invested, silence is deafening. She notices when your texts take longer, when you pull back, when you're not as present, and though she may not say a word about it, her behavior shifts. She might suddenly try to reinitiate contact, send something playful, or accidentally remind you she's there. That's not coincidence, it's attachment manifesting in her need to keep your attention, even if she pretends she's fine without it. Finally, the clearest sign she's already attached is the contradiction in her words versus her actions. She may say things like, "I'm not looking for anything serious," or "I'm just having fun right now," but her behavior betrays her. She prioritizes you, she worries about losing you, she invests her energy into you more than anyone else. These mixed signals aren't meant to confuse you, they're meant to protect her. She wants to guard her feelings because she's terrified of being rejected, abandoned, or misjudged. But underneath those contradictions, one truth remains: she's already yours in ways she can't even admit to herself. When a woman is attached but too afraid to show it, she often masks her vulnerability with pride. She'll downplay her feelings, act like she's unbothered, or even tease you in ways that make her seem detached. But watch carefully, her pride isn't strength, it's camouflage. She uses it to cover the storm of emotions she's unwilling to expose. Her jokes, her sarcasm, her dismissive comments, they're shields. Deep down, she's terrified that if she shows you the truth, you'll either pull away or not value it. So she hides her softness behind walls of pride, hoping you'll still see through them without her having to risk rejection. Another subtle giveaway is her selective attention. Even if she pretends to treat you the same as everyone else, you'll notice she tunes into you differently. She remembers what you like, what frustrates you, what excites you. She may casually bring up a detail you mentioned weeks ago, as if it's nothing, but the fact that she's storing those pieces of you shows her emotional investment. This level of memory doesn't happen with someone she's indifferent toward. It happens because she's quietly building a story in her head, a narrative that includes you at the center, even if she refuses to admit it out loud. Her fears will show in the little contradictions. She may act uninterested when you talk about other women, but her tone shifts, her eyes flicker, her energy changes. She may say she doesn't care, but her body betrays her. A woman who isn't attached won't give it a second thought, but one who is, she'll feel a pang of jealousy, no matter how well she hides it. And it's in those moments, when her words say one thing, but her emotions leak through, that her attachment becomes undeniable. That conflict between her pride and her feelings is what makes her behavior seem inconsistent, but to the trained eye, it's crystal clear. She also begins to future pace in subtle ways. She might joke about things you do together someday, places you should visit, or experiences you have to try. She may keep it light-hearted, but these hints are her way of weaving you into her vision of the future. They're small windows into how she already sees you as more than temporary, even if she's not ready to say it. This tendency to project you into her future is one of the strongest signs of hidden attachment, because even when she's trying to hide her emotions, her imagination betrays her. She already envisions you as part of her life. And finally, watch how she reacts to your silence. A woman who's not invested will shrug it off and move on, but a woman who's attached, no matter how hard she tries to act calm, will feel it deeply. She'll start second-guessing herself, wondering if she said something wrong, if you've lost interest, or if you're testing her. She may not confront you directly, but you'll notice small shifts, more effort to reach out, subtle attempts to re-engage, or even a sudden pullback as she tries to protect herself. That internal conflict, her need for your presence clashing with her fear of exposure, is the essence of hidden attachment. As her attachment deepens, one of the most telling behaviors is how she starts to test you without realizing it. She'll push small boundaries, delay responses, or act a little colder, just to see how you react. It isn't about manipulation, it's about protection. In her mind, if you pull away when she does this, it proves her fear right, that caring too much makes her vulnerable. But if you stay grounded, unshaken by her fluctuations, it reassures her in ways she'll never admit. These tests are less about controlling you and more about measuring if you're safe enough for her to let her guard down. You'll also notice how she starts seeking reassurance in indirect ways. She may downplay it with humor, saying things like, "You probably talk to other girls, don't you?" Or, "I'm sure you'll forget about me soon." These comments are wrapped in jokes, but underneath them lies genuine insecurity. It's her way of fishing for your validation without openly asking for it. A woman who isn't attached doesn't need this kind of reassurance, but when she's already invested, these playful digs become her way of expressing what she's too afraid to say. I care if I lose you. Another powerful indicator of hidden attachment is the way she adapts herself to your world. Suddenly, she's curious about your hobbies, your routines, your values. If you're into fitness, she shows more interest in working out. If you love reading, she asks for book recommendations. If you talk about your ambitions, she aligns her encouragement with your goals. This isn't coincidence, it's alignment. She's already forming a connection to your lifestyle because in her mind she wants to belong to it, and yet she won't frame it as attachment. She'll present it as casual interest, when in reality it's her way of inching closer without revealing her full hand. Her silence speaks volumes too. When she's attached but hiding it, there will be moments when she wants to say something vulnerable but stops herself. You'll catch the hesitation, the half-finished sentences, the quick subject changes. She wants to tell you she misses you, but instead she asks what you're doing. She wants to say she thought about you all day, but instead she sends a random emoji or meme. This restraint is her way of protecting her pride. She's already given you the power to affect her deeply, and admitting it would make her feel exposed. That unspoken tension, wanting to say more but holding back, is a sure sign of attachment. And finally, watch how her energy shifts when she's around you versus when she's not. Women who aren't invested remain consistent. They treat you the same as everyone else. But a woman who's secretly attached radiates differently in your presence. She laughs more easily, her tone softens, and her eyes light up in ways she can't fake. Then, when she's away from you, that energy dips and she feels the emptiness of your absence. This duality, her highs around you and her lows without you, isn't random. It's the emotional roller coaster of someone who's already attached but hasn't found the courage to let you see just how much. When her attachment grows to the point where it begins to overwhelm her pride, you'll notice her contradictions becoming more extreme and harder to ignore. One moment she's intensely engaged, hanging on to every word you say, showing a level of curiosity and focus that makes it obvious she's invested, and the next moment, she'll pull back and act like you barely matter. This isn't because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. Her emotions make her vulnerable, and her fear makes her retreat. She's constantly fighting herself, wanting to step forward while simultaneously holding herself back. This inner war creates a tension you can feel in her behavior. It's why she might flood you with attention one day, then go silent the next. She isn't playing games in the traditional sense. She's trapped between desire and fear, between exposing her heart and protecting her pride. The very inconsistency you find confusing is actually proof of her deep attachment, because if she didn't care, she wouldn't struggle at all. The depth of her hidden attachment also becomes clear in the way she invests emotionally without openly acknowledging it. She starts tying her moods to you without even realizing it. When you respond warmly, she feels validated and uplifted. When you're distant, distracted, or slower to reply, her energy sinks, though she'll pretend nothing is wrong. This emotional dependency creeps in silently. She may convince herself she's being casual, but her reactions tell the truth. She's already attached, and because she's too afraid to admit it, she hides her investment behind casual masks. She'll say things like, "Oh, I was just bored, that's why I messaged," or "I don't even care if you reply." But the truth is, she cares deeply. The lies she tells herself and you are protection strategies, but they reveal her secret more than they conceal it. Her need to downplay her emotions is proof of just how strongly those emotions exist. Her attachment also shows in how she starts creating scenarios in her head about you, imagining outcomes and preemptively reacting to them. For instance, she might get upset at something you haven't even done yet, because in her mind she fears you might. She may accuse you indirectly of losing interest, or she may become cold after imagining you with someone else, even if you've given no such indication. These projections are a direct byproduct of her emotional investment. When someone is truly detached, they don't invent stories in their heads about what the other person may or may not do. But when she's attached, her imagination is constantly running wild, and her fear of losing you makes her react as if those imagined scenarios are real. This is where you'll see her appear irrational or moody at times, not because she wants drama, but because she's battling with the emotional weight of caring about someone while refusing to admit it openly. You'll also notice that her effort, though subtle, is always present. She'll dress a little differently when she knows she'll see you, though she'll claim it was unintentional. She'll make sure her hair is styled, her perfume noticeable, her smile a little more radiant. These aren't coincidences, they're quiet expressions of her attachment. She wants to stand out in your eyes without seeming desperate. Even in conversations, she'll try to impress you with her knowledge, her humor, her insights, all while pretending she's not trying at all. This balance of effort and denial is exhausting for her, but it's also undeniable proof that she's already invested. If she wasn't attached, she wouldn't go out of her way to craft these subtle displays of value. Her actions betray her feelings in ways her words never could. Perhaps the strongest sign of all is the way she reacts when she senses distance from you. A woman who's unattached won't notice if you pull away, or if she does, she won't care enough to address it. But a woman who's secretly attached will feel the distance like a blow to her chest. Even if she tries to stay silent, her energy shifts. She may become more irritable, more passive-aggressive, or suddenly more eager to engage with you. She might initiate small interactions just to test if you're still there, sending a meme, liking an old post, asking a meaningless question. It's not the content of the interaction that matters, it's the intent. She's seeking reassurance without admitting that she needs it. This is her greatest contradiction. She craves you, fears losing you, but refuses to show just how much she feels. And that tension is the essence of her hidden attachment. She's already yours emotionally, even if she can't bring herself to say it. As her pride continues to clash with her emotions, her hidden attachment begins to leak out in ways that become impossible for her to disguise. You'll notice that even when she tries to act indifferent, her consistency betrays her. She shows up, she lingers, she keeps finding reasons to cross paths with you. If she wasn't attached, she wouldn't feel the need to maintain such proximity. But when she's secretly invested, she cannot fully detach, no matter how much she pretends to. Her presence becomes her silent confession. She might justify it with excuses. "Oh, I just happened to be here," or "It was nothing, I was just passing by." But deep down, she knows she's orbiting you because her emotions won't let her drift too far. Another way her hidden attachment surfaces is through her overanalysis of your behavior. She notices things you didn't even realize you were doing. The way your tone shifted slightly, the way your eyes looked away a second longer, the gap between your last message and this one. These small details consume her because they act as signals to her fragile sense of security. If you're consistent, she feels safe. If you're distant, she feels exposed. This hyper-attention doesn't happen when she's casual. It happens because she's already emotionally invested, but doesn't feel safe enough to say it outright. Her silence isn't indifference, it's fear wearing a mask of nonchalance. This hidden attachment also shows up in the way she reacts to other women around you. Even if she pretends not to notice, her demeanor changes when another woman takes your attention. She may laugh louder, insert herself into the conversation, or suddenly withdraw as if she doesn't care. But these shifts are emotional tells, signs that she's already attached and can't stand the thought of competing for your focus. Jealousy doesn't need words to be revealed. It shows in her body language, in her sudden mood swings, in the way she becomes restless. The more she tries to hide it, the clearer it becomes. She has already chosen you in her heart, but she doesn't want you to know it. One of the clearest giveaways of her attachment is her need to test your patience. She might delay responses, act busy, or pretend she's uninterested just to see how you handle it. A woman who isn't attached won't bother with these tests because she doesn't care enough to measure your reaction. But when she's already emotionally hooked, these tests become her way of assessing your stability. If you stay calm and composed, her respect and attraction for you grow. If you overreact, she feels justified in keeping her guard up. These small experiments aren't malicious, they're her subconscious way of determining whether you're safe enough for her to finally reveal the depth of her emotions. Eventually, the cracks in her composure become too wide to ignore. She begins to slip, saying things she didn't mean to, revealing feelings in small outbursts, or showing frustration when you don't respond the way she expected. Her attachment makes her vulnerable, and vulnerability makes her unpredictable. She might blurt out, "I don't care what you do," while her body language screams the opposite. Or she might suddenly confess something personal and then backtrack, pretending it didn't mean anything. These contradictions aren't accidents, they're the result of a woman fighting a battle she's already lost. She's attached, she knows it, and no amount of pride can fully conceal what's written all over her actions. As her hidden attachment grows harder to suppress, the vulnerability she tried so hard to hide begins slipping out in the smallest, most unguarded moments. She might let her tone soften when she says your name, or her eyes linger on you for just a second too long before she looks away. She'll try to mask these moments with casualness, but the truth is, they're not casual at all. They're her emotions bubbling to the surface before her pride can pull them back down. It's in these little cracks that her true feelings leak out. And once you start noticing them, you'll realize she's communicating far more through her behavior than she ever will with her words. You'll also see her begin to create unnecessary reasons to engage with you. Maybe she asks questions she already knows the answers to. Maybe she reaches out with small excuses like, "I just remembered this funny thing." Or maybe she sends you something trivial just to keep the conversation alive. On the surface, it looks like nothing, but if you step back, you'll see the pattern. She's searching for ways to stay connected without revealing how much she actually craves that connection. These little efforts aren't random, they're signs that her attachment is now stronger than her fear. Even if she still hides behind casual gestures, the consistency of her reaching out is proof of where her emotions really lie. Her vulnerability also shows in how she reacts to uncertainty. If she feels you pulling back or becoming distant, her composure falters. She may try to act like it doesn't matter, but her energy shifts. Her messages become shorter or more frequent. Her tone sharpens or softens unpredictably. This is her fear taking over. The fear that she may lose you before she ever found the courage to tell you how she really feels. And though she won't admit it, these fluctuations are her silent plea for reassurance. She wants to know she hasn't miscalculated, that the connection she feels is real, but she's terrified of asking for it directly. Another undeniable sign of her attachment is how she begins to weave you into her personal world without explicitly inviting you in. She talks about her family, her dreams, her insecurities, pieces of herself she doesn't share with just anyone. It may not sound like much, but these personal disclosures are her way of testing how safe you are with her deeper truths. She wouldn't risk exposing those layers if she wasn't already invested. Her willingness to let you into her private thoughts is the quiet confirmation that her attachment has gone beyond surface-level attraction. Even if she never labels it, she's handing you pieces of her heart in fragments. And finally, the strongest sign of all is the way she starts to contradict her own narrative. She may insist she's not ready for anything serious, but her actions show commitment. She may say she doesn't care what you do, yet her reactions prove otherwise. She may pretend she's detached, but she rearranges her time, her energy, and her attention to revolve around you. These contradictions aren't accidental. They're the byproduct of her inner conflict. She's scared of admitting what she feels, but her heart has already chosen, and no matter how hard she tries to bury it under layers of pride, denial, and fear, the truth keeps slipping out through the cracks. She's already attached, and she's just waiting for a safe moment to let it show. As her emotions deepen, the balance between pride and attachment tips further, and the cracks in her composure grow wider. She's no longer just hiding her feelings, she's struggling to contain them. You'll notice her patience wearing thin when you don't respond quickly enough, or when your attention drifts elsewhere. She may snap with sarcasm or go silent altogether. But those reactions don't come from indifference, they come from panic. Panic that she's already invested more than she intended. Panic that she's given you power over her emotions without your permission. And that panic drives her closer to breaking her silence, even if she still tries to hold on to the last strands of her pride. At this point, her attachment begins to show itself in her protectiveness over you. She won't say it outright, but she'll bristle at anyone who disrespects you or dismisses your worth. She'll defend you in conversations, even when you're not there. She might criticize other women who express interest in you, subtly positioning herself as different, as someone who sees your value more clearly. This protectiveness is her subconscious way of claiming you without saying the words. A woman who isn't invested wouldn't bother, but a woman who's secretly attached feels compelled to guard what she's already decided in her heart is hers, even if she won't openly admit it. Her fear of losing you also drives her into moments of vulnerability she can't fully disguise. She may send a late-night message she regrets in the morning, something simple like, "Are you awake?" or "I was just thinking about you." To her, these slips feel dangerous, like she's revealing too much, but to you, they're glimpses of her true state of mind. Those impulsive reaches aren't accidents, they're her emotions breaking through the walls she's tried so hard to keep up. Every slip is evidence that her attachment has grown stronger than her ability to conceal it. The contradictions become even sharper when her pride and her emotions collide head-on. She might pull away dramatically, ignoring you for days, only to come back with sudden warmth and interest. These swings confuse you because they seem irrational, but they're not random at all. They're the behavior of someone caught between wanting to reveal and needing to protect. Every withdrawal is a defense mechanism, every return is a confession, and the longer this cycle continues, the clearer it becomes that she's already deeply entangled emotionally. No matter how much she tries to deny it, eventually, her fear of losing you begins to outweigh her pride. You'll see it in the way she seeks out reassurance more openly, in the way her excuses for reaching out become thinner, in the way she starts to drop hints that she's more invested than she claims. She's nearing the point where silence can no longer contain her emotions, where the risk of losing you feels more terrifying than the risk of exposing herself. And when she finally reaches that breaking point, her attachment will no longer be hidden. It will pour out in ways she can't control, revealing the truth she's been wrestling with all along. She's already yours, and her pride was only delaying the inevitable. When she crosses that invisible line where fear of losing you outweighs her pride, her attachment begins showing in unmistakable ways. She starts reaching out more frequently, sometimes under flimsy excuses, but the consistency betrays her. A just checking in text, a random picture she thought you'd like, or even a casual comment on something irrelevant. All of these are her ways of anchoring herself to you without saying the words. She may still try to act like it's casual, but the sheer frequency reveals the truth. You're on her mind constantly, and the silence she once thought was strength now feels unbearable to her. Her emotional surrender becomes clearest in how she responds to your detachment. When you take longer to reply or step back, she doesn't just notice, it consumes her. She might overthink your absence, replay old conversations in her mind, and even lose sleep wondering if she misstepped. These spirals aren't the behavior of someone casual. They're the unmistakable signs of someone who's already attached but has been hiding it. And though she may not say it out loud, her urgency grows each time you pull away, because in her heart she knows the longer you stay silent, the greater the risk she may lose you for good. At this stage, the mask of indifference she wore in the beginning starts to crumble. She can no longer maintain the illusion that she's unaffected. Her tone softens when she speaks to you, her eyes linger longer, and her vulnerability seeps through in ways she can't control. She might admit things indirectly. "I was worried when you didn't reply," or "I thought about you today." Phrases that sound small but carry enormous weight. These aren't accidents, they're confessions disguised as casual remarks, and once those cracks form, it becomes clear that her pride has lost the battle to her emotions. You'll also notice how she begins to prioritize you without even realizing it. She'll adjust her schedule to see you, respond to you faster than she does with anyone else, and give you a level of access she doesn't grant to others. These shifts may seem subtle, but they're deeply revealing. A woman who's unattached doesn't reorganize her life around a man, but one who's secretly invested will do so instinctively, even as she tries to pretend it's coincidence. Her actions are no longer aligned with her words, and it's in these inconsistencies that her attachment finally betrays her. The final stage of her hidden attachment is the moment she begins to fear, not just losing you, but living without the version of herself she's become around you. That's the deepest form of attachment, when she realizes that the comfort, stability, and emotional high she feels in your presence are things she can't replicate anywhere else. She may not outright confess her feelings, but her behavior will scream it louder than words ever could. And while she may have fought to hide it for so long, the truth is undeniable now. She's already attached, and the mask of indifference she wore at the start has fallen away, leaving nothing but her raw, unfiltered emotions in its place. By the time her hidden attachment has reached its peak, she begins living in two worlds, one she presents to everyone else, and one she hides within herself. Outwardly, she may still try to look collected, to pretend she's unfazed, to show the world that she's in control. But inwardly, every thought, every mood, every small decision revolves around you. She's calculating how to keep you close, debating whether to reach out, and wondering constantly what you think of her. The conflict between her outer strength and inner vulnerability eats at her, and the cracks grow wider every day. One of the clearest signals of this stage is how easily her composure breaks in your presence. She may have once been able to mask her emotions, but now her eyes reveal what her lips refuse to say. The softness in her gaze, the slight nervousness in her smile, the way she fidgets or stumbles over words when the conversation turns more personal. All of these are signs that her pride is losing ground. It's not that she's weaker, it's that her feelings are now too heavy to hide behind small talk or casual gestures. You can sense her vulnerability even in her silence. Her pride will still fight back though. Even as she shows these glimpses of vulnerability, she'll try to counter them with moments of distance. She may suddenly withdraw, delay replies, or claim she's busy, all in an attempt to regain the upper hand over her emotions. But these attempts are half-hearted. They don't last, because the pull she feels towards you is stronger than her fear. Her retreats only make her attachment more obvious because each time she pulls away, she always comes back, often with even more warmth than before. That cycle is her heart confessing what her pride refuses to. At this point, even her friends may start to notice. She mentions your name more often, brings you up in conversations, or subtly seeks advice about a guy without naming you directly. Her world is tilting around the axis of your presence, and those closest to her can sense it. They may tease her, they may ask questions, and while she'll deny it, her reactions will give her away. The more she tries to downplay her feelings to others, the more they surface through her energy, her tone, her excitement. Hidden attachment can't stay hidden forever. It leaks out in ways she can't fully control. The final stage of her hidden attachment is when she begins to realize she has more to lose by staying silent than by revealing the truth. Her fear of rejection will still be there, but the thought of losing you completely becomes far more terrifying. That's when her pride finally cracks under the weight of her emotions. Maybe she won't give you a grand confession, but she'll start saying things she once thought she'd never say. She'll tell you she misses you. She'll admit she worries about you. She'll ask directly if you still think of her. These small admissions are monumental for her because they signal the collapse of the wall she built to protect herself. And by then, the truth is undeniable. She was attached long before she ever admitted it, and her silence was never indifference. It was fear.